BTS is one of the biggest boy groups in K-pop and possibly the world right now. But just like every big thing in the world, they came from somewhere and put a lot of energy and work into what they do. BTS originated from a label called BigHit. Today I'm able to speak to an ex-K-pop trainee of BigHit. We're going to talk about his audition process and the trainee program behind one of the biggest companies right now. And of course some of the biggest faces right now. So let's give him a call.
Hello, my name is Jason Yu. I was a former K-pop trainee at BigHit Entertainment. A couple of years ago, BigHit was holding auditions in Atlanta, Georgia. And my friends informed me about it, but like, hey, you should try auditioning because it'd be fun. And since you're like a tall Asian boy, they might take you or something. I was like, all right, it's on a weekend. So I decided to go try out an audition.
Did you have any K-pop experience before that?
No, I didn't. I didn't listen to K-pop that much when I first auditioned. Now I listen to a lot more since I had the whole training experience.
So they contacted you and then you went to the audition.
I went to the audition and there was a huge line of people. There's 200 people there. At the audition, they'll send each of us in groups of 5 into the audition room where we audition in front of 2 judges.
When you were in the audition process and there was 200 people, were they all Asian or did you notice other races that were there?
The majority of the people were Asian, but I saw a couple of different ethnicities in there. So there's 4 things to audition for: rap, sing, dance, and visual, model. And since I didn't have experience with the other 3, I auditioned as a visual. The thing is, in my group of 5, there's really talented people in the group, all auditioning, and I watch them all, they're singing and dancing and stuff. And I'm like, wow, they look like idols and stuff. They were all oh, okay, cool. And then sent them out right after they finished auditioning. When I auditioned, since I was a model, I just walked down and up in a line. And they kept on having me do it over and over again. And they're like, hey, can you hold on a sec? Let's set up the camera real quick. So then I had to wait there and they set up a camera and then they had me walk again. And then they asked me a bunch of more detailed questions I didn't ask anyone else, what my name was, what my height, my weight, my ethnicity, and stuff like that. I was super anxious about going into it. Most people had a confident walk when they walked down the line. I sort of tiptoed down the line. But the judges, they were really nice. The main judge only spoke Korean, so the other judge had to translate for her.
I guess when they hire you to do visuals, are they now training you to do singing, acting, and all that other stuff?
When they formally invited me to Korea, they put me in dance classes. They then put me in singing classes because I couldn't speak Korean.
You go through the process. When you left, did you think you were going to get a call back?
They said that they were keep in touch, but I didn't really expect much. With a couple of trainees, and if they just reviewed the video, they wouldn't really want me. A couple hours later, they sent me a text saying, hey, we're gonna ask you more questions, do another interview at a different location.
A couple hours later? They didn't even wait till the next day?
Yeah, it was that afternoon.
Oh, wow. Because they had to go through 200 people, right? So
yeah.
That's pretty cool that they let you know right away.
And then they just had me interview at a dance studio.
So once you get that text message to do it again, so then you go to this new location, you walk again, or how does that work?
So what they had me do at the audition was they had me re-walk and they did a bunch of makeup on me and fixed my hair and stuff. And then they did another thing where they asked if I could sing. They're like, hey, can you sing for us? And I was really not mentally prepared for this, but I still sang. And they also didn't let me have any background music, so I sang a cappella. That was really awkward for me. But other than that, after that, they asked me a bunch of questions if I really wanted to go to Korea and stuff. At the end of the interview, they're like, okay, you look like someone that we want. Why don't you come to Korea next summer from that when I interviewed and train with us for 2 months, and we'll see if we want to contract you, so sign you. So the audition was held in I think it was near October, actually.
Okay.
They were like, okay, we want you to come next summer. So I waited the whole 7 months to actually leave for Korea. They gave me a guy from their training management group, and I had contact with him, and he basically set everything up, the plane ticket and informing my parents of everything.
So you get the invitation to go to Korea, you fly out, and so what happens there?
Right when I land, I get picked up by one of the managers of the company. And then they're like, hey, we're going to drop your bag off at your dorm real quick. And then we're going to drive you over to the company where you can look around. So on my first day there, they already sent me to the company. And I'm like, hey, do you want to try out your dance class that you're supposed to be in? It's going on right now. Do you want to go in and watch? So they had me go in and watch on my first day. Introduced me to some of the other trainees, my roommates and people like that.
So how was your dorm?
They were kind of small. It was an apartment that they had rented out, right? And it was in the middle of Gangnam, so it was kind of tiny. They had 3 bunk beds in one tiny room. It was really crowded.
Because there were 3 people in this one room.
6,
okay.
We had 5 people in one room.
5 people? Describe your first day of training. Like, what were you expecting versus what happened?
I knew they were gonna put me in Korean lessons since I don't speak Korean, but I expected the dance lessons to be like a lot longer and to have like vocal lessons. The dance lessons to be super like strict and difficult, but for most part, my instructors were pretty cool. We had a lot more like free time than I thought like a trainee would. I took Korean for about 2 hours every day.
Okay.
I had dance classes for about 2 hours every day. They were like, oh yeah, you only have 2 hours of class, but you're supposed to expect it to train by yourself if there's a free room. Most of the time when you hear trainee has so much like time practicing, it's mostly because they're required to do solo practice.
Okay, so how strict were they, you having to eat a certain thing or you needing to be on time for practice?
For the most part, they weren't strict at all.
Did you have to pay anything up front to do this?
The company paid for my airplane ticket. I didn't have to pay for accommodations and stuff. They gave me $8 worth of money for food every day. So the only real money that I had to spend at the company was for food. Like, I didn't owe the company anything.
$8, was that enough for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
No, it was just enough for lunch. So then breakfast and dinner I usually paid for myself.
A lot of people do say that like the trainee process isn't that difficult. It's mostly like bad experiences with teachers. It's not necessarily that there's any problems with the company. Some teachers can be kind of strict or mean. Did you have any experience with that?
The training was very difficult, and like sometimes the teachers will have us do like certain choreographies for like minutes straight, and it was exhausting. For me, I had 2 classes, a choreography class and a pop and dance class. The choreography teacher I loved. He was really cool and stuff, and actually like tried his best to help me learn, even though I can communicate with him. But the puppet teacher was really scary, and I always like hated going to that class because he always like calls people out and stuff like that.
Oh, are you friends with any of the trainees or singers or whatever that were there?
The friends I became closest with were my roommates that like I shared a room with. But then there's also some other trainees I trained with that I know went on shows like Island.
Oh, they're on Island right now?
I know a couple of the trainees from Island.
I guess you do this every day, or is it like Saturday and Sunday you get off?
I had training Monday to Saturday, and then I got Sunday off. But on Sunday we're still expected to come in and practice a little bit. But for the most part we get that day free.
Did you meet any K-pop idols or anything while you were there?
Cool thing is like, so we're not formally introduced to BTS, like the members, but since we're all in the same building, even though there's a trainee section and an artist section, we sometimes see members of BTS walk into like between the buildings and the hallways and stuff, and that'd be really cool.
No way.
And we're not like supposed to like go up and like annoy them. We're just supposed to say hi and bow and just continue on.
2 months are like over. Did you want to do more, or did they not let you do more? Like what happened at that point?
Over the 2 months, I had to learn this 9-minute choreography, right? And then at the end of the 2 months, they gave me an evaluation test where I had to perform the whole 9 minutes in front of a camera, a couple of the managers. In the end, I guess I just didn't make the cut for the evaluation.
Would you ever audition again, I guess?
I'd probably audition again just for fun, but I don't think like I would force myself onto it.
Do you know if they push like plastic surgery or anything like that?
Like for the trainees at least, no, they didn't. We had to tell them everything that we wanted to do. Like every time we got a haircut, we had to inform them we're getting a haircut. Every time we want to like dye our hair, we had to inform them dyeing the hair. And they didn't really like generally like the idea of getting plastic surgery on trainees, but I don't know much about what they do for artists.
Especially if you were doing visual, was there any pressure into how you had to look? So were they being like, we have to monitor your diet or any of that sort of thing?
Since I was only there for 2 months as a like unofficial trainee, they didn't monitor me as much as other trainees. Towards the end, they were like, oh, if you do get signed, we're gonna have a certain weight goal for you and stuff like that.
I really think that's like all the questions I have. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Really appreciate you sharing your story. Let's keep talking. You can hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on here, and we can keep in touch. Talk to you later. Bye.
See you. Bye.